Yo, what's up? It's DNA for sure, also known as Lord Homeboy, also known as Lord DNA. And this video is the second part to dealing with parents who are addicts. Now, the first video that I made did not suffice. It was horrible, honestly, in my opinion. If it helped you, great. I don't delete any of my videos. I'm not going to delete that video because I need to watch it, learn from it, and people need at least that aspect of that video. Now, like this video, subscribe, do all that good shit. But I'm gonna give you some more advice, more in depth, on how to deal with having addicts for parents and how to and what you need to learn specifically. Now, again, my parents weren't addicts, so I can't give you everything that you need as far as your advice, but this is definitely going to help you. So the first thing that I'm going to speak on is the the personalities of people who I've known whose parents were addicts. A lot of my friends had parents who were addicted to heroin or addicted to crack and things like that, alcoholics and shit like that. Most of them probably, you know. A lot of these people are needy, seeking addicts themselves, very materialistic or very detached from materialism, and definitely have more character than the average person or people whose parents were not addicts. That's a definite. Um, they they kind of let their parents' addiction rule their whole lives, and that's something that I definitely discourage. Be your own person. Don't be that person be the person who you would never guess whose parents were addicts. I made a video about being your own parent. Definitely watch that video because at this point in your life, no matter how old you are, if you're a younger person, I guess this video is more for younger people from the age of maybe anybody who can speak English. I'm saying from 6 years old, if you know what an addict is, to fucking 40 if you're still being affected by your parents' addiction. Definitely. A lot of these people did have young ass parents. Some of these people didn't have young parents. But a lot of these people grew up with a lot of siblings. People always talking shit about their parents, adversity. But we're gonna go into it. So as a kid whose parent is an addict, you were set up basically to be an outlaw, a gangster, a renegade, definitely independent, and that's what those words really mean. The word gangster to me means an independent person who builds something based off of themselves. That doesn't mean that you hurt people. That means you're a leader, to me, because gangsters do what they want. But anyway, I want you to put yourself in the mind state, or I want you to think about what on a spiritual level, whether you're spiritual or not, what if you picked this situation? What if you picked the parents that you had? Because that is what I wholeheartedly believe. I picked the parents that I had. I believe that you picked the parents that you had. Even if you don't believe that, what if that's true? That means that I'm not saying that all addicts are bad parents, but I'm saying that most addicts have no business having children, let alone around them. Raising children, having that responsibility. If that is the situation, if you die and you talk to God or the universe and they say, yeah, look, I gave you your soul, but you picked your parents, that means that you didn't need parents. A lot of people, 90% of addicts abuse their children, and that doesn't mean in a violent way or a sexual way. Abuse can come in the form of neglect. Neglect is the easiest. Well, not easiest. It's pretty hard to neglect a child if they're crying and you're sitting in the corner hitting rock, or banging your drugs. But it seems to be one of the most common. If you're fucking cracked out, it's not really hard. I've never done crack, but I would imagine that it's not really hard to hit a child or accidentally do some shit, or if you're drunk, accidentally burn your kid with a pipe or some shit. I don't fucking know. Again, my parents weren't addicts. I don't know. But it's definitely something that you should consider. Now, with that being said, it doesn't mean that you don't need parents or guides at all or guardians at all, but you pick the situation maybe that you don't need your parents. Now, I have my notes and we're gonna go on that. Even though, I mean, I don't agree with the 12 steps of AA or NA or anything like that, but just because you don't need your parents doesn't mean that you don't need any guidance at all, which I already said, reiterating it. One thing that you should probably try to do is look towards a higher power. Now, I'm not a Christian. I don't support any right hand path religions. I don't support any Abrahamic religions or anything like that, which is fine, you know, it's okay. But it's the universe and maybe plants, flowers, whatever, you know, that can be your higher power. Look to something, look to God, look to the universe for God to be your parent. Even if it's not that, you can be your own parent. It's not like a super science, but you having a mentor, which is actually what I was gonna say for last. You having a mentor is the most important thing at this point in your life. You know, your mentor could be somebody that you never met. Your mentor can be Elliot Hulse. Your mentor could be fucking President Obama. You know, people, anybody who gives out any kind of energy or advice, or any leader. You know, as a child of somebody who's an addict, another thing you need to learn is the business world. I'm not saying that all addicts do foul shit for their drugs and for their money, but there's a good chance that they do foul shit for their drugs and their money. You know, just because they're not robbing and stealing doesn't mean they're not hitting rock and working 15-hour shifts and neglecting you and neglecting their responsibilities, not bathing, not brushing their teeth, not eating correctly, not eating a balanced diet. And that's bad for you because you have to watch this. And you having a good relationship with the business world and money, which is another tip that I wanted to address. You have to have a good relationship with money and realize that money is not the root of all evil. Drugs are not the root of all evil. My mom grew up in a drug-ridden fucking area in Roseland, Southside Chicago on 107th and Calumet. Drugs. Everywhere else. Our block was the quiet block, but she didn't even want me to listen to Jimi Hendrix, and who I named my child after. She didn't want me to listen to people. She disliked them and prejudged them just because they did drugs, you know? Drugs are not bad. People are bad. Crack destroys people's communities. The people who use crack and sell crack destroys people's communities. I've never smoked crack, so I can't say if crack is bad or good or what. But it does something to you that's different. Weed's not bad. Alcohol's not bad. Just because your parents grow up, I mean, just because your parents are alcoholics and you grew up around that doesn't mean that alcohol's bad. You know, I set my sister up to think that weed is bad because I neglected her and my responsibilities, and I ate up all the motherfucking sweets and ice cream because I was always high as fuck. And I couldn't interact with them because I was fucked up all the time. Pills, all that shit. But think about your relationship skills. Think about how you relate to the world, and think about your own personality. This is a time for you to build something. You were given the opportunity. A lot of people have their parents up their ass 24/7. Think about how great it is. Reframe it. Think about how great it is that you have the opportunity to raise yourself. Not the burden, the opportunity to totally create whatever you want with your life. That's an awesome opportunity. And think about the fact that you might have chosen that. Next, you have to be creative because a lot of people who grow up with addicts in their house, even if they're even if they're millionaires, even if their parents are lawyers and doctors, but they're alcoholics and they're addicted to crack, you have to be creative and unique in certain situations. Just because, I mean, a lot of people don't grow up and they have to, turn their drunk mom at night so they won't swallow their vomit and die and suffocate on it. Or make sure they don't walk up and down stairs and, tie their shoes together, whatever. But a lot of people that I've met that are addicts are unique, creative, just like people, normal people that grew up in the hood, are just exceptionally fucking creative and unique. Um, this is the time for you to embrace your uniqueness and your creativity and to study how normal people act, but not be normal at the same time. Direct the most important thing, the second most important thing after finding a mentor is directing everything that you have, negative and positive. So many things that having an addict as a parent can offer you. Direct it, put it into something, control it, put it in a ball, and push it into something. Next, I already talked with relationships. The next thing, the third most important thing that you need to learn is coping skills. Coping skills, how to deal with PTSD as a child of an addict. I don't know why this fucking camera's shaking so much. That's my hand because of how I was holding it. But dealing with coping skills, I mean, you can learn anything from anybody. But one thing that an addict would definitely have a hard time at least convincing you or you embracing. It's not about the message, it's about, the receiver. I can listen to a crackhead talk about his coping skills all motherfucking day. But it's gonna be a little bit harder if you're hitting a rock telling me good ways how to not smoke crack, and not be an addict. Yeah, you can do that. You can say, look, when I'm off, the ways that I use not to smoke crack is to start projects and clean my whole motherfucking house and do this and do this and do that, and all the excess energy that I have from not smoking and not using, this is what I do. Yeah, fuck that. But you need to learn coping skills and how to deal with your abuse. Like I said, you should definitely look into some form of therapy, even though you don't have to see a psychologist, you don't have to see a psychiatrist. You should definitely learn different therapeutic ways to direct these energies, to utilize them. And I already said everything that was on my list. But the last thing that I would like to say is, it's the most important thing out of all these things is your safety. Think about it like this. And this goes for people that have parents with mental illnesses who don't deal with their mental illnesses in healthy ways. You're at a party. This is your life. You're at a party. You're at a lifelong party, at least until you move yourself from that environment. And you don't know who the fuck's showing up. It can be a happy person. It could be a depressed person. It could be the most violent motherfucker that you ever met in your life. Your safety and your health is number one. But you need to get something from it and direct it. And put it into the world positively. What can you learn from this? What can you take from this party? I know it's not fucking fun. It's not happy. It's fucked up most of the time. And all of the people that I've met who have parents for addicts are some of the happiest people that I've ever met. Because they're handling it, at least faking handling it, in a great way. So that's it. It's Lord DNA for sure. DNA, Lord Homeboy. And I wish you safety and love. And I hope that you realize that you're not a piece of shit. And you have all the potential in the world. More potential than a lot of people have. That's it. Peace.